Over the last 30 years, America has seen an unprecedented expansion economically due to the personal computer, due to telecommunications technologies, due to other inventions, as well as an increasing population. America has increased standards of living and increased demand and consumption at all levels. Now there's a change in the wind, mainly because of demographics. There are other issues like political, there's other issues like the Gulf oil spill and foreign wars such as Iraq and Afghanistan, but the main factor is the bulge of the United States population called the baby boom that's moved through its peak spending years and now is starting into its retirement age. We found that there's going to be a shortfall in Social Security, there's going to be a shortfall in Medicare, there's going to be a shortfall in Medi-Cal. There is going to be a shortfall of government spending. Right now, a debt for the government of $14 trillion and rising. There's a higher unemployment rate going on right now in America, and it's not moving down very quickly. We now see that the recovery that we thought from all the stimulus funds is starting to falter. And we don't know what the exact future holds for the next short term, but we know the long term is not so good. Why? Because the baby boomers have moved into their retirement years. They're starting to, at least. They're demanding more from the government, they're spending less, and 70% of the economy is driven by direct spending. Take a look at the first graph. The first graph shows the change in spending at each stage of the life cycle. In the first stage, 18 to 22, people are single, they don't spend much, but as they get married, they start to spend more. The height of the histogram is the height of spending for a family according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Young families start to spend more as children are born. There's a demand for school, vacations, and the first house. As a family receives larger income through experience and time in the workplace, more children are born, and the maximum size house is demanded between the ages of 46 and 50, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Actually, 48 is the peak spending age of an average American. After that comes the empty nesters with less spending, smaller households, less demand for durable goods such as cars, refrigerators, and household goods, including vacations and education, and finally 60 plus, which is retired. At the same time, Americans are living longer, approximately 80 years, and increasing. If one is 55 today, as I am, then the average lifespan is closer to 92. And so what we're finding is that Americans are living longer, and as they live longer, they spend less because they have an empty nest and less demand, less needs. They already have a house, they already have their vehicles, they're not traveling as far, they're not driving as much, and they're not consuming as much, but they're watching more TV. They have a greater need for medical and government programs. Let's look at the next graph. The next graph shows that immigration adjusted birth index of numbers of people entering the United States between 1930 and the year 2000. Notice the bulge between 1946 and 1964. We call this the baby boom. The baby boom was a population that increased rapidly due to after-war euphoria, and it was followed by the Echo generation, or the Xers. As the baby boom started to move through the temporal cycles of the family life cycle in the United States, in the early stages, in the 1950s, there were many school supplies and many schools being built. In the next stage, there were many high schools being built, and finally, children entering college and finally the labor force. At that point, there's high unemployment and high inflation as the baby boom generation gets settled into their jobs and starts to learn new careers. During the 1980s and 1990s, the baby boom moved into their peak spending years, and the boom in America started like never before. And now, as we find in the year 2010, the baby boomers are starting to retire, and their spending, their peak spending years are over, and they are now demanding Medicare, Medi-Cal health insurance, and have reduced their spending. Their life cycles are changing, and they're heading towards retirement. at retirement, they'll spend even less. What does this mean for the American economy? This is what it means. It means that American economy is not going to rebound in the near term because there is a dearth of spending going on, and 70% of the economy is driven by spending. The next large bulge in the population, which is not as large as the baby boom, is called the echo generation, are the Xers. And they will not start their peak spending years until approximately 2025 to 2035. So between now, 2010, and 2025, there's going to be a reduction in spending, a reduction in growth of the economy, in fact, almost no growth at all, an increase in demand on government services, increasing debt buildup as we now speak. 42 trillion from mortgages and credit card debt by the general population, and 14 trillion by the government itself.